Most people think they're strong, until life actually decides to test them. And when that moment finally arrives, they break long before the real challenge even begins. Not because the world is too cruel, but because their minds are too soft. They let emotions lead them. They let opinions shape their identity. They let fear make decisions on their behalf. And the moment pressure hits, they crumble. Machiavelli understood something most people never will. The strongest mind isn't the kindest. It's the most controlled. He believed your mind is your throne, and if you don't rule it, someone else will. Being mentally untouchable isn't some gift you randomly wake up with. It doesn't just appear with age or experience. You build it piece by piece through discipline, detachment, and strategy. The world is constantly trying to break you. It uses rejection, betrayal, humiliation, pressure, and failure as tools to test your strength. Most people fall apart under that weight. But you're here because you're done with letting emotions dictate your reality. You're here because you want to control your reactions, your focus, and your peace. Like a king who rules his kingdom silently but absolutely. So before we go deeper, ask yourself one simple question. Do you control your mind? Or does the world control it for you? Because the answer to that question decides your entire destiny. If you allow the world to control your emotions, you will always be its victim. But if you take command of your mind, you become untouchable. Untouchable by failure, untouchable by betrayal, untouchable by chaos. Every insult, every setback, every challenge becomes fuel that sharpens you rather than weakens you. From this moment on, start thinking like Machiavelli. Detach from emotion, observe human behavior, use discipline as your armor, and silence as your weapon. Because once you learn to rule your mind, no one can touch your peace ever again. Before we get into the 7 ruthless lessons, say this with me and drop it in the comments. From today, I choose strength over emotion. 1. Control the narrative. Power begins with perception. The way others see you determines how they treat you, trust you, and even fear you. Machiavelli understood that the world is not ruled by truth, it's ruled by appearance. People don't see your intentions, they see your presentation. They don't analyze your strengths, they interpret your energy. In a society that worships perception, the one who controls the narrative controls the entire reality people live in. You can be brilliant, wise, and capable, but if you let others define your story, you hand over your crown before the battle even starts. The biggest mistake you can make is believing that truth alone will protect you. It won't. Truth is often quiet and easily ignored. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge by the eye rather than the hand. Everyone can see, but few can touch." Meaning, the world reacts to what it sees, not to what actually is. People decide your value before you speak a single word. They judge your strength by your posture, your calmness, your tone, your mystery. If you look uncertain, the world will devour you without hesitation. If you look controlled, people will think twice before testing you. To be mentally untouchable, you must become the author of your own narrative. Every gesture, every pause, every silence must communicate one message. I am in command. And here's a rule most people fail to understand. Never explain too much. The moment you start defending yourself, you give away your authority. A calm silence is louder than 1,000 desperate explanations. Let people assume, let them wonder, let them fill in the blanks. The less they know, the more power you hold. Every room has an invisible war for dominance. Loud people want attention. Smart people want control. When you walk in, you don't need to announce yourself. Let your presence speak first. People sense confidence long before they understand it. They feel authority before they even hear it. You don't need validation, you need precision. When you control perception, you can bend reality. A person who looks unbothered appears strong. A person who looks desperate appears weak. You can be facing chaos internally and still project calm. And that illusion alone protects you better than any argument ever could. Psychology is simple. The mind believes whatever the eyes repeat. If people repeatedly see you composed, strategic, and unfazed, they will treat you accordingly, even if you're still learning to master yourself internally. Machiavelli believed reputation is the foundation of all power. He said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you truly are. Never forget that. Appear strong when uncertain. Appear unshaken when pressured. Appear calm even when challenged. Control your tone. Control your gaze. Control your silence. Never let others define you. When someone tries to put a label on you, don't react. Rewrite the label through your actions. When they underestimate you, let your results speak. When they question you, answer with calm confidence. Control isn't manipulation, it's direction. It's shaping how your energy is interpreted in a chaotic world. Once you master this, you stop chasing validation and start commanding respect. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my image. 2. Detach from emotion. Emotion is the easiest weapon the world uses to control you. The moment someone can trigger your anger, fear, or sadness, they own you. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. People who react emotionally are predictable, and predictable people are easy to manipulate. Detachment isn't coldness, it's strength. It's the ability to observe chaos without letting it enter your mind. When you detach, you stop bleeding energy over useless noise. You stop reacting to every insult, every disappointment, every unrealistic expectation. You begin responding with control instead of emotion, and that's when you become dangerous. Most people think emotional expression is strength, but uncontrolled emotion is just vulnerability disguised as honesty. When you react too quickly, you expose your triggers, and people will push those triggers whether they mean to or not. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally," meaning, the wise delay reaction until it serves their purpose. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop being ruled by feelings. You can feel pain without drowning in it. You can acknowledge betrayal without letting it destroy your peace. Emotions are like storms, loud but temporary. Don't chase them. Stand still and let them pass. That stillness is power. Imagine two people facing the same insult. One explodes, losing control of his words and his image. The other looks at the offender and simply smiles. Who wins? The second one without speaking. He didn't react. He redirected. He observed. He understood that silence is often the sharpest form of dominance. True power is the ability to stay still while everyone else collapses under pressure. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I feel, but I do not fall. Number 3. Expect betrayal. Trust strategy. Betrayal is not an exception in life, it's a pattern. The sooner you accept that loyalty is temporary, the sooner you stop being shocked when people switch sides. Machiavelli warned that loyalty lasts only as long as it benefits someone. When their advantage ends, so does their devotion. If you want to survive in a world built on self-interest, you must replace emotional trust with strategic awareness. The wise don't depend on promises. They build systems that protect them when those promises eventually break. Most people suffer because they expect consistency in a world driven by convenience. They think loyalty is sacred, but in reality, it's conditional. Expecting betrayal doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you prepared. Machiavelli wrote, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." He meant that people will shift their loyalty whenever it benefits them, and you must never take that personally. Betrayal is not always evil. It's simply human nature revealing itself. When you understand that, you stop reacting with anger and start responding with clarity. You begin treating betrayal as information. Who values advantage over integrity? Who pretends out of need? Who changes when circumstances do? Strategic minds don't rely on people, they rely on structure. They don't tie their fate to anyone's loyalty. They build systems that function even when everyone walks away. When you trust emotion, you become dependent. When you trust design, you become independent. Always position yourself so that no single person has the power to destroy your peace or progress. That's not cold, it's intelligent. Detachment from blind trust doesn't kill connection, it refines it. You start valuing actions over words, patterns over promises. When you expect betrayal, you stop investing in illusions. You notice inconsistencies. You read intentions before they reach your heart. Machiavelli believed foresight is the highest form of power. A leader who predicts deception before it happens never loses control. He also wrote, "The wise man does not expose himself needlessly to danger, but he is willing, in great crises, to give even his life, knowing that under certain conditions it is not worthwhile to live." This isn't pessimism, it's realism. You learn to care selectively. You protect your energy. You stay alert without being bitter. The truth is, most people aren't destroyed by betrayal itself. They're destroyed because they refuse to believe it could happen. They lived in denial until the knife was already in their back. The Machiavellian mindset removes that illusion. It accepts human inconsistency as fact and prepares accordingly. You don't build walls around your heart. You build gates that open only for those who've proven loyalty through time and adversity. And even then, you remain aware that anyone can change. When you expect betrayal, you stop fearing it. Nothing surprises you anymore. Strategy becomes your shield. Preparation becomes your armor. You stop chasing loyalty and start commanding respect. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I trust strategy, not sympathy. Number 4. Appear calm. Think cold. In a chaotic world, calmness is one of the most intimidating forms of strength. Most people confuse calmness with softness, but Machiavelli viewed it as psychological warfare. When you appear calm while everyone else is panicking, you project superiority without saying a single word. The calm mind notices what the restless mind misses. A cold thinker sees patterns hidden behind emotion, and when you can remain serene in the middle of disorder, people start to fear your control. They sense that nothing can shake you, and that mystery becomes dominance. Machiavelli said, "A prince must learn how not to be good." He didn't mean cruelty, he meant emotional discipline. Being good is easy. Being calm while everything burns around you is divine. When people expect you to break and you don't, their illusion of power over you collapses. Calmness terrifies the impulsive. It frustrates the loud. It confuses the emotional. They don't understand why you don't react, why you don't argue, why you don't crumble. Your stillness becomes a mirror revealing their lack of control. Most minds are slaves to reaction. They speak too quickly. They decide too soon. They lose everything to emotion. But the cold strategist pauses. He studies the situation. He waits for the right moment. Patience is not weakness, it's command over time. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." Meaning, you must be both the fox and the lion. Cunning and courageous. Deceptively calm, yet internally calculating. You must appear tranquil like water, yet sharp as ice under the surface. Never reveal fear. Never reveal tension. Let people wonder whether you even feel it. The less they know about your emotional state, the more unpredictable you become. And unpredictability is power. Whenever something irritates you, ask yourself one question. Does reacting help me win? If the answer is no, stay silent. That silence unsettles people more than anger ever could. A calm reaction kills arguments faster than aggression. The cold mind doesn't seek victory through noise. It wins through energy. Even when you're surrounded by hostility, keep your tone slow, your eyes steady, your gestures minimal. Confidence is communicated through stillness, not movement. This lesson isn't about hiding emotions, it's about mastering your display. Your presence is a stage, and you decide what the world sees. Appear rational when others are irrational. Smile when they expect rage. Move slowly when they rush. Show that you are never moved unless you choose to be. Over time, your calmness becomes armor. No one can identify your breaking point because you never reveal it. You become the anchor in every storm, the observer among reactors, the strategist among victims. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My calmness is my power. Number 5. Keep power in silence. Silence is not emptiness, it's compressed control. The more you talk, the more you reveal. Every unnecessary word becomes a doorway into your mind. And once people can read your mind, they can predict your moves. Predictable people are easy to influence. Machiavelli understood that mystery is a form of dominance. Silence isn't a lack of communication. It's a deliberate strategy. When you speak less, others imagine more. They fill the silence with their own fears and assumptions, and that uncertainty works in your favor. The quiet person is never ignored. They're analyzed, watched, and whispered about. And by the time they finally act, it's too late for anyone to stop them. Words are cheap. Everyone uses them to beg for validation. But power never explains itself. When you justify yourself, you give others permission to judge you. When you argue, you signal insecurity. When you overshare, you lose leverage. Silence erases all of that. It says, I don't owe you anything. Machiavelli wrote, Never was anything great achieved without danger. Silence carries risk. People will misunderstand you, but that misunderstanding is the power. People don't fear what they can interpret. They fear what they can't decode. When you speak rarely, people assume you think deeply. Your words carry weight because of their scarcity. You don't need to be the smartest in the room. You only need to be the one who doesn't speak unnecessarily. Over time, silence becomes your identity. It makes you unpredictable and respected. And when you finally choose to speak, your words cut sharp because they're intentional, not habitual. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence speaks power. Number 6. Master the art of absence. Presence loses its value when it becomes constant. The more accessible you are, the more ordinary you appear. Machiavelli understood that scarcity is the essence of influence. A leader who appears too often becomes common, predictable, and unimpressive. But one who appears rarely becomes a figure of intrigue, authority, and legend. Absence is not withdrawal, it is strategy. When you create distance, physically or emotionally, you create space for curiosity. People start to wonder where you are, what you're doing, and why you're not around. Their imagination does more for your reputation than your presence ever could. What is rare becomes valuable. What is constant becomes invisible. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear." Absence can create both. When you disappear, people either miss you or fear losing your attention. Both reactions give you power. Most people overshare, over-explain, and over-appear because they fear being forgotten. They want to be included in everything. They want to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. But constant exposure kills mystery. It drains your aura. It removes the sharp edges from your image. When people can easily reach you, they stop valuing you. Mastering absence means showing up only when your presence has weight. When every entrance feels intentional. When people pay attention because they don't know when the next time will be. A leader is not powerful because he is always seen. He is powerful because when he appears, it matters. Absence also protects your mind. Constant interaction drains your energy. It reveals your patterns. It exposes your weaknesses. The Machiavellian thinker withdraws not to hide, but to recalibrate. Solitude sharpens perception. Silence restores focus. Distance brings clarity. When you remove yourself from the noise of the crowd, you begin to see what others are too distracted to notice. The crowd acts from emotion. The strategist acts from understanding. To master absence, you must learn to pull away without announcing it. Don't warn people. Don't justify it. Don't send long explanations. Just vanish when necessary, and return only when your presence serves a purpose. Those who notice your absence show you who truly values you. Those who don't show you who never mattered. Distance becomes a filter. It separates curiosity from commitment. It reveals loyalty without you ever asking for it. Machiavelli advised rulers to manage visibility carefully because presence is a resource, not something to waste. A flame that burns constantly weakens quickly. A flame that burns selectively can last indefinitely. Make your presence a privilege, not a guarantee. Your absence should echo louder than other people's noise. People should reference you, quote you, or wonder about you even when you're not there. That is influence. That is mystique. That is power. When you become slightly out of reach, people imagine more than they know. And imagination is far more powerful than reality. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My absence amplifies my power. Number 7. Rule your mind, rule everything. Every form of power, external or internal, begins in the mind. If you cannot command your thoughts, no strategy, no wealth, no reputation will ever hold. Machiavelli understood that the greatest battles are not fought in public. They're fought in silence, inside your head. The world belongs to those who can focus, while everyone else is distracted. The world bows to those who stay calm while others collapse. The world follows those who discipline their minds while others let theirs run wild. Most people lose the fight long before it begins. They let anxiety guide them. They let fear frame their decisions. They let insecurity dismantle their potential. Their thoughts move like leaves in the wind, blown in every direction by whatever emotion hits them. Machiavelli once wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. But the deeper meaning is this: your environment reflects your mind. If your surroundings are chaotic, it's because your inner world allows chaos. If your relationships are unstable, it's because your thoughts lack discipline. If your life feels noisy, It's because your mind is unguarded. Control begins with awareness. Watch your thoughts without judgment. Treat them like soldiers. They obey or they are dismissed. Your mind is both your weapon and your weakness. If you fail to command it, it will betray you. Every insecurity will rise against you. Every fear will influence your choices. Every doubt will poison your foundation. But once you detach from impulsive thinking, once you stop letting random thoughts dictate your actions, your mind becomes sharper than any blade. Machiavellian strength is not built on aggression. It is built on composure. The disciplined thinker moves slower, but every move is intentional. He doesn't let the past torture him. He doesn't let the future overwhelm him. He stays grounded, in command of the present moment. That level of awareness is what separates conquerors from the conquered. Mental mastery requires daily training. Replace fear with logic. Replace emotion with intention. Replace noise with silence. Every time your mind drifts toward weakness, pull it back with authority. Every moment you resist impulse, you become stronger. Over time, your thoughts start serving you rather than sabotaging you. The world can't influence someone who is internally aligned. Insults lose power. Betrayal loses sting. Failure loses its emotional weight. Because your mind refuses to give these external events the meaning they once held. Power doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from controlling the meaning your mind assigns to it. Machiavelli believed that reason must always rule over desire. Desire clouds judgment. Reason clarifies it. The one who remains detached yet decisive becomes untouchable. Every empire begins as a disciplined thought. Every downfall begins as a distracted one. When your mind is ruled by fear, the world manipulates you. When your mind is ruled by strength, the world cannot touch you. To rule your mind is to rule your destiny. You stop living reactively and start moving deliberately, step by step, choice by choice, unshaken by chaos. Rule your mind the same way a sovereign rules a kingdom. Guard it, strengthen it, protect it from invasion, whether by doubt, distraction, or emotional noise. Feed it discipline. Shield it with focus. Let silence be its throne. Once you learn to rule your thoughts, you no longer chase peace. You become the source of it. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My mind obeys only me. Being mentally untouchable doesn't mean you feel nothing. It doesn't mean you turn into a cold, heartless machine. And it definitely doesn't mean you disconnect from reality. What it truly means is this: nothing, no insult, no betrayal, no failure has the power to control you anymore. You become the master of your reactions, the owner of your focus, and the architect of your peace. Every challenge turns into a lesson. Every conflict becomes data. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to reinforce your strength. This is how Machiavelli saw the world, not as a battlefield of emotions, but as a chessboard of strategy. He taught that power isn't earned through luck, it isn't earned through charm, and it doesn't come from temporary advantages. Power is earned through discipline, observation, and strategic thinking. When you apply the 7 ruthless lessons, you don't just survive the world, you move through it with clarity, calmness, and authority. Think about it. Most people spend their entire lives reacting to noise, reacting to opinions, reacting to fear, reacting to emotion. And because of that, they live with constant instability. One insult ruins their day. One disappointment ruins their week. One betrayal ruins their belief in people. Their emotional foundation is fragile. But when your mind is trained, When it is disciplined and detached, nothing external can shake you. Detachment protects you. Silence amplifies your presence. Absence elevates your worth. Calmness becomes intimidation. Strategy becomes your shield. And perception becomes a weapon you know how to wield. Each lesson reinforces the others like the stones of a fortress. And once that fortress is built, it cannot be breached. Let's revisit the deeper purpose behind each of the 7 lessons. Control the narrative teaches you to manage perception. When you decide what you project, you decide how the world responds. Detach from emotion gives you psychological independence. You stop being manipulated by your own reactions. Expect betrayal sharpens your foresight. Instead of being blindsided, you're prepared. Appear calm. Think cold gives you psychological dominance. Your composure becomes a shield and a weapon. Keep power in silence forces the world to fill in the blanks with admiration, fear, or uncertainty, giving you leverage without effort. Master the art of absence raises your value instantly. Scarcity creates respect and mystique. Rule your mind aligns your entire life around strength, intention, and deliberate control. This is not about suppressing your human side, it's about elevating it. You transform from someone who is easily shaken into someone who is grounded, focused, and untouchable. When you reach that level, something incredible happens. Life stops happening to you, and you start directing it. You stop reacting, you start anticipating, you stop explaining, you start observing, you stop chasing, you start choosing. This transformation is not loud. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't need validation. It happens silently, internally, through small, repeated acts of discipline. Imagine yourself walking into a room differently from now on. Not as someone trying to fit in or be liked, but as someone who carries deep inner stability. Your gaze is calm. Your energy is settled. Your silence has weight. You don't need to announce who you are. People just sense it. This is the Machiavellian aura. Stillness that intimidates. Silence that speaks. Presence that carries meaning. Distance that breeds respect. Control that cannot be touched. When you rule yourself first, nothing external can weaken you. Emotional chaos loses its influence. People's opinions become background noise. Betrayal becomes predictable rather than painful. Failure becomes information instead of identity. You become the constant in your own life while everything else shifts. Let me make one truth clear. Most people never reach this level because they can't detach from the need for validation. They want approval. They want recognition. They want to be understood. And in chasing those things, they lose power. But the one who controls himself ends up controlling his environment. Power always flows to the mind that is steady. There's a scene that plays out in real life every day. 2 people face the same hardship. One breaks down and loses control. The other stays composed, assesses the situation, and moves with intention. The second person wins. Not because they're stronger, but because their mind is stronger. That's the foundation of everything Machiavelli taught. From this day forward, start observing your reactions. Watch your thoughts. Guard your energy. Train your mind like a warrior trains his body. Don't let the world hijack your peace. When something bothers you, pause. When someone disrespects you, detach. When a situation becomes chaotic, stay still. When emotions rise, observe instead of reacting. Before long, you'll notice something powerful happening. Your default state becomes calm dominance, not arrogance, not ego, just quiet, resolute control. The strength you've been seeking doesn't come from anger, aggression, or force. It comes from clarity, and clarity comes from ruling your mind. As Machiavelli believed, reason must always rule desire. Emotion may scream the loudest, but reason decides the outcome. If you want a life that can't be shaken by circumstances, you must build a mind that can't be manipulated by emotion. This journey isn't a single moment. It's a path, a practice, a lifestyle. Each day you strengthen your discipline is a brick in the fortress you are building. Each time you stay silent instead of reacting, the walls grow higher. Each moment you detach from emotion, the foundation becomes stronger. Each step you take toward mastery brings you closer to an untouchable mental state. And when you finally reach it, you'll realize something profound. Peace was never something you had to chase. It was something you had to build. These 7 lessons are the blueprint. If you found value in these teachings, it's time to take action. Hit the like button, not for me, but as a commitment to your own growth. Share this with someone who needs to awaken their inner strength. And subscribe, because the process of mastering your mind is ongoing. Every new video will give you another tool, another insight, another strategy. Because mastery is not a one-time achievement, it's a continuous sharpening of the mind. Silence, strategy, self-control. This is the path of the untouchable. Walk it, build it, live it. Let the world test you and watch how nothing can shake you again. Remember to leave your affirmations in the comments. Let these words echo inside you until they become part of who you are. Because the moment you own your mind, you own everything. Now that we've explored the 7 ruthless lessons, let's bring everything together in a way that reshapes how you move through the world. These principles aren't meant to sit as ideas in your mind. They're meant to reshape your behavior, your presence, your identity. Because Machiavelli never taught philosophy for entertainment. He taught strategy for survival, dominance, and power. And if you apply these lessons consistently, something subtle but life-altering begins to happen. You stop being someone the world can shake, and you become someone the world must adjust to. Let's walk this final mile with full clarity. Most people live their lives like emotional open wounds, reacting to everything. They're pulled by the opinions of others, manipulated by flattery, destroyed by betrayal, exhausted by expectations, and destabilized by uncertainty. They live externally. They live reactively. They live without command. You're not meant to live that way. Machiavelli's teachings point toward a different path, a path where you become the immovable center in a world full of chaos, a path where you stop absorbing everything around you and start directing everything within you. When you internalize these lessons, your psychology begins to transform. You stop over-explaining. You start conserving energy. You stop reacting emotionally. You start choosing responses strategically. You stop expecting loyalty. You start preparing for fluctuation. You stop showing all your thoughts. You start mastering silence. You stop appearing everywhere. You start appearing with intention. You stop being ruled by your mind. You start ruling your mind like a sovereign. This internal shift creates an external shift. Suddenly, people treat you differently. They sense the difference in your presence even before you speak. Your calmness intimidates the unstable. Your silence provokes curiosity. Your absence creates value. Your stillness hints at depth. Your discipline radiates authority. That's the transformation Machiavelli envisioned, not the transformation of the world around you, but the transformation of the self within you. Because once you master the internal battlefield, the external world becomes remarkably easy to navigate. Let's expand this understanding further. When you control the narrative, you're no longer at the mercy of how others define you. You decide the frame through which the world sees you. When you detach from emotion, you stop allowing the world to push your buttons. You become psychologically untouchable. When you expect betrayal, you protect your foundation from collapse. You prepare so nothing surprises you. When you appear calm, you gain quiet dominance. Your presence becomes weighty without effort. When you use silence, you shift the battlefield. You make others reveal more while you reveal nothing. When you master absence, you reinforce your value. Scarcity creates power. When you rule your mind, you rule your entire reality. These are not separate skills. They form a single armor, an armor made of discipline, perception, stillness, and strategy. Once you wear this armor, insults become echoes. Betrayal becomes expected. Failure becomes data. Chaos becomes manageable. Life becomes navigable. And power becomes natural. Now, imagine living this way every day. Imagine moving through your world unconcerned with opinions, unshaken by adversity, unbothered by noise. Imagine being the kind of person whose peace is so deeply rooted that nothing external can pull it away. That's what it means to be mentally untouchable. People often mistake being untouchable for being emotionless, but the truth is the opposite. Being untouchable means feeling everything, but not falling because of anything. It means acknowledging emotion but not becoming its slave. It means using logic as your compass and composure as your armor. Let me tell you something powerful. The moment you stop letting the world dictate your emotional state, the world loses all power over you. People can insult you, but they can't shake you. They can betray you, but they can't break you. They can pressure you, but they can't move you. They can doubt you, but they can't define you. Because your strength is internal, not external. Machiavelli wrote for rulers, but what he really meant was that we must all become rulers of our own inner kingdoms. And your mind, your thoughts, your reactions, your focus is the territory you must protect above all else. When you rule your mind, you stop needing external control. You become your own foundation, your own safety, your own source of stability. And from that stability comes power. Think about everything you've survived. All the times you were tested, all the people who doubted you, all the moments you felt pressure. Yet you're still here, still learning, still evolving, still fighting to become the strongest version of yourself. You don't go through all that and come out weak. The world thought it could break you, but all it did was prepare you. You are building a mind that cannot be manipulated, a presence that cannot be ignored, a focus that cannot be shaken, a strength that cannot be taken. This is the path. This is the transformation. This is the Machiavellian evolution. Now, if you've gained value from this journey, take action. Hit the like button, not for the algorithm, but as a commitment to your own discipline. Share this with someone who needs to hear these truths. And make sure you're subscribed, because this channel is your arsenal for building the strongest, calmest, most powerful version of yourself. Every upcoming video will sharpen your strategy, deepen your awareness, and reinforce the fortress you are building within your mind. Silence, strategy, self-control. This is the path of the untouchable. Step into it, walk it, command it, live it. Let the world test you, and watch how nothing can shake you again. Now, drop your final affirmation in the comments and let it echo in your mind. I own my mind, therefore I own my life. And remember this truth. The world doesn't give power. You build it inside yourself, one decision, one discipline, one mindset shift at a time. When you rule your mind, you rule everything.